DepartmentReport.com is titled, "Why is the for-profit health industry like a giant blood-sucking tick?" And the point I would like to make is that if you look at every other developed country in the world, what you find, and in fact, somebody tweeted me a graphic of this morning, which I thought was particularly good. In every other developed, here it is right here. Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Chile, Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Israel, Italy, Japan, Luxembourg, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Slovenia, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, and the United Kingdom all have national health care programs that cover everybody. The United States, we are the outlier. We are the only one that doesn't. And now, as I mentioned just a moment ago, the Republican Study Committee has come out and said, okay, we need to dial back on Medicare and Medicaid. If we can't destroy the programs, let's just cripple them. It was from Yahoo News. The Republican Study Committee proposed a budget for fiscal 2023 that would gradually increase the eligibility ages of Social Security and Medicare and change the formula for people 54 and younger. Right. Now, Bernie is now the chair of the Senate Health Committee. And he's already promising, quote, a lot of subpoenas, end quote, will be flying around to executives in that industry. But, you know, I think, frankly, most Americans are not aware of the fact. I have to believe that if most Americans knew that in the United States, every year, about 500,000 people lose their homes, go bankrupt, lose everything. And in many cases, families break up, divorces happen because a bankruptcy happened, 500,000 American bankruptcies every year, because somebody got sick. The number of bankruptcies like that in these other countries, the number of bankruptcies because somebody got sick in Australia, 0. In Austria, 0. In Belgium, 0. In Canada, 0. In Chile, 0. In Finland, 0. In Norway, 0. In Portugal, 0. In Poland, for God's sake, 0. In Slovenia, in the United Kingdom, in Turkey, in Switzerland, 0. In the United States, 500,000 to 600,000 bankruptcies a year because somebody in the family got sick. We are literally the only country in the world for which this is the case. We spend in the United States 17% of our gross domestic product on health care. 17%. It is 11% in the most expensive of the other developed countries, Switzerland, Germany, France, Sweden, and Japan. 11%. We spend 17%. And Canada, Denmark, Belgium, Austria, Norway, Netherlands, United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Australia all come in between 9.3 and 10%. Health insurance premiums right now make up 22% of all taxable payroll. If we had Medicare for all, it would be a mere 10%. This is, I mean, this is just crazy. That businesses in America are being crippled, that families in America are being run into bankruptcy. Why is this? Well, last year I published a book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare. And when I was researching that book, I found out why this is. Back in the late 1890s, a fellow by the name of Frederick Hoffman came over here from Germany. He was a math savant, ended up vice president of the Prudential Insurance Company. And in 1896, he wrote a book called Race Traits of the American Negro. And in this book, this guy, who within a couple of decades was vice president of the Prudential Health Insurance, or the Prudential Insurance Company, this guy wrote, Frederick Hoffman wrote, that black people were so genetically inferior, both physically and mentally, that and immune system-wise, that if we simply denied them health care for a couple of generations, don't let them into hospitals, that all the black people in America would die out And that would be the end of the race problem in America. I'm not making this up. His book, Race Traits, was the #1 bestseller of the decade of the 1890s. He was invited to speak before Congress in the 1900s and the 19-teens. He visited state legislatures all over the country in the 1920s. In the 1930s, Republicans brought him in to speak before Congress in opposition to Franklin Roosevelt's program, his proposed Social Security, which included some payments for health costs. Social Security at one point in time covered some health expenses. And this is why we don't have a national health care system. Because, you know, the white racists, particularly in the South, but frankly, they're all over the country, they're fine with white people getting health care. But as soon as you say everybody, that magic word everybody, that includes black people in this country, all of a sudden the Republicans and the white racists, who are generally speaking the same thing, are like, oh, no, you don't. Not going to have that. Presidents Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Jack Kennedy, and Lyndon Johnson all proposed and tried to bring in a national health care system to the United States. All of them. I've got a clip here of Jack Kennedy. I don't know if you can pull my computer up here, Sean. I'm just going to jump right through, about halfway through it. And this is Jack Kennedy talking about national health care programs.
The American people, all of us, contribute 1/2, 1 or 2/3 for every new hospital in the national government. We pay 55% of all the research done. We help young men become doctors. We are concerned with the progress of this country. And those who say that what we are now talking about spoils our great pioneer heritage should remember that the West was settled with 2 great actions by the national government. One, in President Lincoln's administration, when he gave a homestead to everyone who went west, and in 1862 he set aside government property to build our land-grant colleges. This cooperation between an alert and progressive citizenry and a progressive government is what has made this country great, and we shall continue as long as we have the opportunity to do so.
There you go. I think I jumped past the point where he said he was talking about health care.
In this matter of medical care.
Yeah, here it is right here. This is, forgive me.
We are behind every country pretty nearly in Europe in this matter of medical care for our citizens.
There you go. And then you heard the rest of the rant. I mean, that was the setup for it. And Jack Kennedy couldn't pull it off. Well, you know, it kind of set up Medicare. I mean, that was his Jack Kennedy's speech. Congress wouldn't go along with him. Republicans fighting it tooth and nail. And at that time, there were a number of Dixiecrats, you know, the Southern racist Democrats as well, who were saying, no, we do not want universal health care in the United States because it will give health care to black people here in the South, and we are not willing to tolerate that. That was their shtick. That was their position. But Lyndon Johnson got Medicare pushed through. But now, hey, how about Medicare for all? Wouldn't that be a fine idea? Well, obviously it's not going to happen with Republicans in the House of Representatives, but time to give some serious thought to this. We'll be right back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Bernie, by the way, says he's going to be pushing for it. Meanwhile, you've got CEOs of health insurance companies who have taken more than $1 billion